Hi, welcome to episode 4 of Life of Kii. And on today's episode, I'm going to be driving around Los Angeles, visiting some of my favorite hot spots that aren't so hot anymore. How long is this going to last? Oh, put on your masks. Everybody's got to be wearing their masks. And starting out today's show, we've got an amazing guest, one of my all-time favorite rock photographers, and we're going to be creating some brand new art with him. Let's give it up for Mick Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited. I can't get rid of my smile. I've been smiling ever since I found out that today I got to interview the one and only legendary photographer, Mick Rock. Hi, Mick.
Look who he's got on his chest. Look, El Frederico. I've looked at that in more recent years, and I actually prefer it to the actual cover. And I think he looks like he's on his way to heaven. You know? That's how I see it.
And tell me about the photo where you found the inspiration for the cover of Queen 2.
There's a guy called John Cabal. And there's the John Cabal collection out there. And they needed an album cover. And they played me this album, which was in fact Queen 2, La Pièce de Résistance.
Okay, we can right now, let's just, everybody, a moment of silence.
Ooh, take my breath away.
Freddie Mercury. Oh.
He had the true spirit.
Oh.
My reaction said, wow, sounds like Ziggy Stardust, Led Zeppelin. And Freddie, I got on with immediately. I mean, he was the strongest in terms of visuals. You get that with certain people. He had a way of, in the nicest possible way, keeping it mysterious and yet way out there at the same time.
Right.
But also the world. And of course he did. And he was, Farouk Bulsara was his given me.
So it was a business occurrence that brought you to meet him for the first time.
There's a guy called Ken Scott. He was a studio producer in the middle of London. Ziggy Stardust was produced in this place. And I think even Bolan and certainly Transformer.
Mick Rock, you are a tastemaker, and you grew up in
What?
You are. You pick the things that you work with, and look what happened, and you made them look cooler than they were.
I always love this. This has hardly ever been seen. This one of Lou Reed in his blonde period. Lou was Lou Reed, man. Fuck it.
Put that closer to the camera. Fuck it, right? Oh.
I would say so. Outside of Transformer. But this was his favorite session. Of course he loved Transformer, and that's how we connected. You want to go to the other end?
Oh, yeah.
This is all for you, though. Look, Lindsay Kemp.
Oh, that's so great.
So much of that glam stuff came out of them, you know. David had worked with them. He learned all the theater and the kabuki.
You guys were living on your own planet out there, the spiders of Mars. This photo that we're looking at behind me, the infamous biting of the guitar strings, was that...
Guitar fellatio, darling.
Guitar fellatio.
Some of the people running the station were a bit concerned about it.
Was that the first time it ever happened?
Well, what he told me afterwards, and I believe him, but it was a couple of days after the release of Ziggy Stardust. So I think there was some, whatever, there was obviously something in the air. It was his biggest gig in his career to that date. It was 1,000 people, Oxford Town Hall, right up against the stage, as you can see.
It must have been so exciting to be in the middle of something. You listened to that album and you just went, this is a whole brand new world, and we're just tripping out and letting ourselves go to it. Did you tour with David?
Mm-hmm.
You know that time you have between sound check and performance is kind of a weird downtime. A lot of performers get sad or lonely in that moment. What did David do on a day-to-day?
That's very interesting. It just immediately makes me think there's daylight. It's backstage, but there's daylight streaming through the window.
I know the photo.
He was doing 2 shows a night.
For Ziggy Stardust, it was 2 shows a day, huh?
So this is the picture. It's exactly then. Does that make sense? Can you see it?
Yes, I can. That wasn't posed.
No.
No, that was you
Most of the
captured
stuff,
him.
he trusted me. Life on Mars. I own it. Not the music, but I own the copyright to those things. I did with David. I'll tell you why. Because at the time there was no money for it. There was no value to them in 72 and 73. Where were they going to get shown?
Hey, Mick.
What?
You have one of these over there?
Don't anybody look. Hand it over. I think maybe I'll have to join you.
Double dog dare you, brah. What part of New York? What part of New York? What part of New York are you in?
I'm actually in Staten Island. Don't mind. I'm just, a little twitch sometimes. It does me good.
Hello.
Yeah.
Are you a mime? Were you ever in theater? My favorite thing about you as a photographer, and unlike any other photographer I've known, you're a rock star, just like the people you shoot. You carry yourself that way. What cracked that nut for you?
I mean, there was an innate thing, and certainly an attraction. Started with Sid Barrett in the beginning.
Ed.
In the beginning was Sid Barrett.
Wow.
So I got the biggest collection of Sid pictures.
Talk about a musician that was tripping the world fantastic into his own musical web of just...
Oh, you mean Sid?
Yeah.
You mean he danced the light fandango and ended up a back alley? No, but I've been there.
I
mean,
love
you've got to have a good run. You've been there.
Well, I've had a lucky life in music and rock and roll thus far. So you're in New York, it's 1974, you're hanging out with Blondie, and you turn around and there's Andy Warhol. What happens?
I think it actually wasn't until 76. Then I met him several times through Lou. And I also shot him. I shot him in the Santa Claus outfit. Him and Truman Capote.
Classic. And drunk as a motherfucker.
At least one motherfucker. But not Andy. It was Truman Capote. But he was just very polite.
Did he have a style or a technique that surprised you?
Yeah, he had a way of keeping it very low key while all this great stuff was going on. I mean, he was never being objectionable or blowing anybody off. He was a very polite kid from Cleveland or Detroit or wherever. Polish.
I always just kind of picture him slowly capturing the perfect moments.
Yeah, I don't think he was so concerned for the perfect moment. I think he felt the perfect moment would pick him.
Well.
But I know you're like me. You're not coy like some artists. I know a bit of what they want to deal with. And Andy ensured that too, so that you become a persona like you have yours. That when you pops in front of me, camera is like, bingo.
Cheers.
Cheers, old chat. Yes. So Kai, where the fuck? Good thing about Kai is where the fuck did that come from? So that, and people remember it because that if they don't know who you are, what you're telling them, motherfucker calls himself Kai. It's original.
Can I just show you something? Wait a second.
I never had a plan.
Hang on, I don't mean to interrupt, but the most cool rock and roll shit just went down. I look at my phone and guess who just sent me a Facebook request?
Who is that? I can't see.
Robin Sander from Cheap Trick. While we're talking right now,
Oh!
I'm not going to pretend like I'm just going to wait to accept that request. I'm going to say, yes, Robin, 10-4.
Oh, he wants to come in and have a listen.
No, he just wanted to be my Facebook friend. Yes.
No, tell him no, I'm not in the... No, what you should say, not really in the mood at the moment, darling. Nothing personal.
That's so cool that you're taking your photos and making new art out of them. I just saw that one you did of the rips of Bowie. So cool, dude. I love that you're taking your shit into the next realm.
There's another one.
Dude, that one top center, is so fucking good. Does that one go out by itself?
Can do. Then there's Moon Age Daydream.
Dude!
Yeah, people wanting to buy prints and
Oh, I do
I
too.
don't know.
Our piece is going to be terrific. People are going to fucking freak out.
It's gonna be Looney Tunes again.
When I ran into Mick at the Art of Elysium show at the Palladium that Linda Perry had put together, I had a bunch of my art set up, and I took Mick on a little tour. And when we came across the Elton John spin art that I created for a music video, light bulb went off in my head, and I asked you if you wouldn't mind collaborating. And here, as you see, is the creation of our work together. It's the amazing bending backwards photo of Iggy Pop, and those cool silver pants inspired me to do this 24 by 36 inch print on thick silver mylar. We are releasing a limited edition print here on Life of Kii, taking a fresh spin, if you will, on this classic photo. We're signing and numbering only 10 of these beautiful prints. And I hope you can get your hands on one. Dude, I just gotta say, Mick, that, you know, your photos took me to a place as a child looking at that Queen 2 album cover, a place that I have never left. And I really want to thank you for that from the bottom of my heart.
Once you get into the magic garden, there's no way out. You know that? You get the frisson, and then you're through the door and no one can stop you. It's cool.
Life of Kii viewers, it has been my absolute pleasure to have my favorite rock and roll photographer of all time.
I knew it was going to be problematic, and I'm glad I came.
Love you, buddy. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
I love you. 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 Seasons change, and I tried hard just to soften you. And seasons change, but I'm tired of trying to change for you. 'Cause I've been waiting on you. I've been waiting on you. 'Cause I've been waiting on you. Ooh, I've been waiting on you. As it rains, the summer will wait, but the winds will wash what is left of the taste. As it rains, the summer will warm, but the winds will crave what is dark, crave what is all gone away. Seasons change. I call the whole wide world. I call the whole wide world just as farther. I call the whole wide world. I call the whole wide world. I have where they hide us.
Huh? Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta vote. You have got to vote. Also on today's Life of Kii, we are gonna dive into the mind of the most famous artist. Have you heard of him? You will. You live in LA, have you ever seen that neighborhood that's painted hot pink? That's the most famous artist, Mr. Maddie Mo. Well, Life of Kii viewers, I'm so excited to have one of my favorite current artists. I've been following him for a bit. I gotta admit, he kind of pissed me off at first, but now I just love him to death. Maddie Mo is the most famous artist. Maddie Mo, welcome to Life of Kii.
Thank you for having me.
So what's really interesting about you is you really took hold of the internet and social media as your platform, literally as your canvas. How did you originally think this is my lane?
Any artists would be lying if they said that their art isn't a sum of all of their experiences in life. And my early career was in building advertising and marketing technology for platforms like Facebook and YouTube. So I had a deep understanding of how those platforms would work, what kind of content worked on those platforms, the psychology of the users, how to sell things through those platforms. And so those experiences informed the branding of my art persona and the types of products that I was selling and the means through which I was distributing my work. So my career is celebrated around, the Cash Brick project where I dragged $1 million to an art fair, the private jet experience where I constructed a fuselage of a private jet for people to take selfies in, the Pink House project, and a handful of other projects. But you don't see all the ones that didn't work.
Right.
And I guess the idea is that I'm going to keep on doing projects that aren't going to work. And the beauty is that I can scrub them from the internet, hopefully. But, all it takes is one real home run to make a name for yourself. And I've hit a lot of like doubles and triples. I don't know that I've hit a home run yet. But I'm definitely swinging for the fences over here.
Yeah, you are. And all the artists that are watching Life of Kii, and I hope there's a few, take a look at Maddie Mo here, who's working his ass off around the clock. And he says, hundreds of failures. Just keep going. You got to get up every day and just be inspired to do so, When the quarantine started, you took the things that were around anyone's home, cardboard and colored pencils, and started just capturing little slices of that and then turned around and sold it. It was great. Well, so we all got kind of trapped in our homes. I didn't have access to the types of materials I'm used to working with, nor the capacity to use them because I didn't want to get my little apartment in LA all dirty. And I started drawing things around my house, like toilet paper and Windex, Clorox and plants and all sorts of stuff. And then when it came time to try to figure out where to sell these things, it occurred to me that weed dispensaries are the only essential business that's open that probably have enough guts to show my art during this time. So I ended up having an exhibition mid-pandemic lockdown at a weed dispensary where people were going in to get their weed. And it turns out people with enough money to go buy weed during pandemics also tend to want to buy some art on cardboard. So that kind of worked out well for me. Man, the way you bob and weave, it's so much fun. I just read this new little thread that you posted. Now, are you starting an art town?
Yes, I am leaving LA next week. I got thinking about like the macroeconomic environment. Like we're not going to be doing a lot of international air travel. I feel like automobile road trips are going to be the kind of tourism of the next, let's call it 2 to 5 years. My plan is to go find a little town, buy a couple of the buildings in that town, create some artist residencies, make a selfie-friendly, headline-worthy project, and all of a sudden create a hotspot. I'm officially moving to Santa Fe to start. I've got a ranch out there. It's going to be 5 bedrooms, so I'm going to have 4 of the bedrooms open to residencies and rent-free places for artists to come kick it.
I have a 1973 GMC RV with a brand new engine, and I would love to take a little spin out there. And the cool thing is, I just had a garage sale and I cleared out the place. I think I'm ready to join you on maybe for a weekend art venture. Maybe even do an episode of Life of Kii in your new town.
Yeah, that'd be epic. I mean, why not?
I'm 53, and every day I wake up kind of wide-eyed, searching the world for whatever's new or whatever I like. And I sent you the links to the show, and I'm you go, I like Joseph Elbers, and I'm like, I love Joseph Elbers, and without even thinking about it, you're like, well, let me paint you one, and I'm like, your brain just thinks that way. It's like, oh, yeah, why not? They're just squares. Paint me one. It's like doing a wonderful cover song. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, the only way to really find your authentic voice is to practice. And a really easy way to practice is to copy. Like, for example, no one had an authentic handwriting style when they were copying and tracing cursive in notebooks in kindergarten through middle school. You eventually adapt that cursive style that is authentic to yourself, but it all starts with copying. So just even going through the process of copying an Albers would give me a whole bunch of insight into like why this guy did it this way and how colors play with each other and whether it's easy or not. So I'm all for seeing something, just going and doing it and seeing what happens.
You know, when I first started my pop art career, it happened at the Minnesota State Fair in 2001. I just done album covers straight through the 90s and never really thought too much about like creating art for just the sake of art outside of rock and roll and music. And I went to the Spino Paint booth, as you see behind me, and I was literally like, oh my God, I am gonna do an oil painting, paint by numbers of a Spino Paint, which is such a random thing. And that's how I got my start. You know, and boy, oh boy, I feel like I'm just a baby boy getting my start in all this art world, and that's a wonderful feeling.
There's a lesson to be learned though, in that to be a successful artist on social media, developing some kind of performative process enables you to get distribution based on the algorithm's preferences. So I've been thinking a lot about like, how can I make content around the process of creating art that is visual and beautiful so that more and more people see my stuff, because flat images just don't push your work through the algorithm anymore. So there's something to be learned there. I'm actually working on creating a course, a 10-week course on breaking down all of the different mechanics, tactics, and strategies necessary to succeed as an artist today, from branding to what your public art looks like, to developing some kind of pattern, to developing an icon, to the performance of your work, to pricing it, distributing it, selling it. And with that, you become part of my collective, and I'll create like some kind of marketplace where if you have participated and graduated from the course, you're going to be able to list your work that you've created within my marketplace and take 100% of the profits from anything sold.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. You're like the Elon Musk of art.
Like all the tenets of the internet, I feel like carry over into art making these days. And if you're not riding that wave, I feel like you're antiquated, or you're missing out on what art could possibly be these days.
Wow. Well, I've gone through my entire list of questions for you, Maddie Mo. Any final closing thoughts here on the Life of Kii?
It's clear that you put a lot of effort into these videos, and it shows, and it's thoughtful, and it's creative, and it's artistic. And so being able to support you in your artistic process is an honor for me. I hope that you and your audience stay safe and are reminded that kindness and love win, and stay creative.
Goodness wins in the end. The most famous artist, Maddie Mo, thank you so much for coming on Life of Kii. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care.
Cut.
Welcome back to the Life of Kii.
Wow, this is a nice neighborhood. I'm in Beverly Hills right now, driving down Rexford. In fact, that house right there, I think that's where Lucille Ball used to live. Amazing. Los Angeles is amazing. For those of you who didn't know, I also make music. Most of the music you hear on this show is my own. And I'm in a band called Jynx with this terrific lead singer, Harlow. And we are debuting right here, right now on Life of Kii. This is Don't Push That Button.
I tell you, gentlemen, science has agreed that unless something is done and done quickly, man as the dominant species of life on Earth will be extinct within a year.
Don't do it, don't do nothing. Don't do it, don't push that button. Don't do it, don't do nothing. You're gonna get it, don't push that button.
Tune into reality, sci-fi wave mentality, going round the globe again. Uranium on the west
something great. With love, let's retaliate.
It's not a big surprise when you televise and advertise with all those lies. Don't be jeopardizing heat behind the truth. We don't call it out like a telephone booth. The circuit is dead, with the finger on the trigger and the button to the head. From the face of Mars, we've come too far with our rocket cars and our fancy stars. I call it class, they just don't last in a new class.
3, 2, 1.
Tune into reality, sci-fi wave mentality, going round the globe again. Uranium on the western wind, all trying to find a glimpse of hope. Look through a kaleidoscope, up here in the Milky Way, a radioactive matinee.
I can hear the birds chirping, and I'm not wearing pants.
Hey, Donald Trump! Ha! I wanna know why you're such a cunt. Hey, Donald Trump! Ha! I wanna know why you're such a cunt. Kill it! You better kill it! Show me something! I see it,
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to call you back. I don't know what's going on. But, I mean, you really can't go wrong with polka dots.